Yes, please.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah, are you live or do you cut into it?
No, this isn't live.
Okay, good.
Okay, ready? It is live. Ready and go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Brett Davis Unleashed, coming to you from IQ Podcast in beautiful Coronado, California, at Attorney King Studios. My guest today is Bashan, who's the CEO of the Creative Mindset. How are you doing?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
Good. I'm live. Are you live?
I'm live. I guess.
Have you got your cardio in today? Have you had your coffee, a little meditation, some mantras?
Coffee's right here.
There you go.
That's all you need.
So when you get a chance, you're gonna have to come to San Diego. We'd love to have you do the interview here again in the studio live.
I would like that. Yeah, I haven't been in a while. I grew up in Los Angeles, so I know San Diego well.
Good. So tell me, how did you start your business, and what was the impetus of the whole thing?
Yeah, it's a good question. Generally speaking, I kind of worked for many years. I've had my own business and worked for other people, and through all of these things, I've noticed that the most successful people around me are the ones that are the most creative. And I started talking to these people and saying, how did you get so creative, and what have you done, and what are some tips I can have so that I can be creative and successful like you? And I found out, Brett, that that there's not a lot of them talking who want to tell you how to be more creative. And so,
what do you think that is?
I think it's people view creativity as kind of an IP sort of thing. They view it as their intellectual property and don't want anybody else to have it. That's what I think.
Makes sense. But there's other people like yourself that probably like sharing and try to help people become their best.
That's it. And that's, so I set out to write a book about it. The book's called The Creator Mindset. It's out in August of 2020, but you can get it now anywhere that you like to buy books, at Amazon or Barnes and Noble. Any independent bookstore has it too. And basically, the book is a way to finally teach people how to be creative.
So let's say somebody just couldn't be creative; their life depended on it. Would say you're just not that type of person. What do you teach people?
A lot of people tell me that, Brett. They say, you know what, creativity is something that you either have or you don't, and I wish I had more of it. Moving on. And for me, it's a fallacy, right? I think, and I've done some extensive research with the book and with McGraw's Hill's, publishing standards, that we had to dig deep, and we found that really everyone's born creative. And then as you age, Brett, and you go through school and business and all of this stuff, you kind of lose touch of that creative side that you were born with, and you begin to sort of favor the creative for the analytical.
So how long have you been doing this now?
This has been roughly 20 years of work. I've had numerous companies in that time. I've ran advertising agencies for many, many years, and finally landed on a small but mighty consulting company. There's 3 of us who, just work real hard every day at getting the message out that anybody can be creative. It just takes the will to learn how to do it.
You make it sound so easy.
Yeah, well, I hope so. I mean, listen, being creative takes a lot of work, right? And it takes a toolkit and a recipe to do so. And for me, when we were putting the book out, I've been writing the book roughly for 7 years, believe it or not. And doing the research in it, trying to find our niche, trying to find out, if we were unique in the marketplace or not. We actually found that there's no books out there on the how of creativity. There's a bunch of books that explain, why you should be creative. There's a bunch of books that say, we need creativity. It's the most important thing. And creativity is good for the bottom line. There's all of these books about, why you should be creative, but very, very few showing you how. So I literally sat down and took 20 years of experience of having, people tell me over and over that, you're either creative or you're not, kind of run with it. And literally sat down and mapped out a process that anybody can use in any business to become more creative.
So you've worked with some interesting clients. You've worked with AT&T, ESPN, right?
Yeah, I've worked with ESPN at some point. Yeah.
JetBlue. What other companies?
I've worked with Microsoft. I've done work with Activision on video games, and worked in, I primarily worked in creative fields, but also had, kind of weird companies along the line. I had a company where we were refinishing furniture, and that was an interesting venture. I learned a lot. It was a failure, an abject failure, Brett. And I don't know, you're a business guy. You've owned several businesses. I'm sure you understand that sometimes you learn more in failure than you do in success.
Well, hopefully you don't make the same mistakes twice.
Yeah, exactly. And learning from your mistakes is it's one of those amazing things, because a lot of us are sort of set up not to make mistakes, right? We don't want to say the wrong things. We don't want to do the wrong thing. We're afraid that, we might fail. And I think one of the most important parts of really embracing the tenets of creativity in your day-to-day life is understanding that sometimes, you're going to fail. I mean, no matter, no matter how hard you try and what it is that you do to try not to fail, you're still going to fail. And part of that for me is really looking at the failure. What happened here that caused you to go out of business, that caused you to lose that client, that caused you to, have a hardship that you not only can learn from and try kind of not to make again, not to make the same mistake again, but what creative potential has been unleashed by making those mistakes.
So the other thing I see, were you nominated for an Emmy?
Yes.
How did that come about?
I worked with I was in school, just graduated from Art Center in Pasadena. I had a wonderful time there and a bunch of really good teachers. And I made a commercial that featured a car that never breaks, and I showed it kind of breaking down, but in a really humorous way. And it ended up winning a Clio, and it ended up getting nominated for an Emmy. And a friend of mine beat me to the Emmy. He actually won it. And I have the Clio up here, but the Emmy is way more impressive. It's like 2.5 feet diameter by 8 feet tall. I don't know if it's 8 feet, but it's, it's kind of tall. Anyway,
if it's 8 feet tall, make sure it's not in your front yard, because I understand they're taking statues down now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So he ended up winning, and I was nominated. It was a really, really great experience. I've worked, with a lot of pretty interesting people when I was in Los Angeles, especially in the music business.
Like, can you give us some names, or is that private information?
I'll give you some stories. When I was in the music business for a little while, I don't know, 3 or 4 years, and I worked primarily, I don't know how this happened, Brett, but I worked primarily with hip hop artists.
Wow.
Rap music. Yeah. And I worked on, I worked on a KRS-One album. Do you remember that guy? KRS-One. I worked on a Cypress Hill. Remember those guys?
Yeah.
Insane in the Membrane. I worked on one of those albums.
Wow.
And I found that these guys, by and large, some of the people I'm mentioning and some others, are just the nicest family type people. They were musicians, and that was their trade. and we would record an album and do our thing, and then they would go home to their families afterward. And you look at the lyrics and you look at kind of the stuff that they're talking about, and you figure like there's no way, And one of the best memories I have from the recording studio is one of these artists. It's actually someone else, but I probably shouldn't name them. Their kid is famous now, but this was about 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, and he's calling his daughter and telling her that he'll be home for dinner, and it's going to be great. They're going to have a nice meal together, and 3 minutes before he's rapping some crazy line that makes it sound very, very tough and kind of like street savvy and stuff like that. And I found that there are some of the nicest people in the world believe it or not, are in the hip hop, rap, R&B arena.
It's very nice to know. So, I mean, you've had this very career in varieties of things. Some of the most interesting businesses that I know have been different and creative. Wasn't it Einstein? Didn't he make that quote about imagination being more important than?
Oh yeah, more important than knowledge.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't disagree with that, and the businesses I've had, I've always tried to add a twist. To them, and I found that those ended up being the most successful ones. Sometimes you don't know how they're going to come out. You kind of go with your gut feeling on it.
Yeah. Trusting your gut is really a creative thing, Brett. Like, a lot of people are so consumed with self-doubt and, the sense that they shouldn't try anything because, they might fail, or just even doubting that what they're doing is good enough. And, your approach, I think, of shooting, from the hip and kind of going on a gut level is essential today. I think that, we're in a world now where the startup, the ramp up for a business is just so short and easy and fast. And, for you to stand out, it's imperative. And part of that is trusting what your gut is saying and kind of listening to your inner voice telling you and trying to guide you as to where you need to go.
So, Nara, let me ask you this question. In your book that's coming out, do you have 5 tips that you could share with the audience that may be some type of nugget that we can get them to? And you don't have to tell them everything, but just kind of tease them a little bit because we want them to get the book.
Yeah, definitely. So, Brett, there's 92 nuggets in the book. There was supposed to be, I don't know, 5 or 10, and then we kept writing and rewriting, and writing is really an art of rewriting and writing over and over again. But yeah, there's 92 nuggets in the book, of which I love all of them just as much as I do the other one. But one of them I think that is really interesting is about listening more. And I could tell you that, having been on both ends of the spectrum, having run a business and having owned my own, that the amount of listening that we do today is pretty bad, pretty low in quantity, and even lower in quality. I think we're always in a rush to talk, and we're always in a rush to kind of, get our opinion across without really taking time to listen. And one of the tips I think that your listeners can do today, right now they're listening to the podcast saying, what can help me become better at my business? I would start by talking less and listening more. And I know that's a little weird to hear on a podcast where I've been talking for 15 long minutes here. But it's one of those things that when you stop talking, you get to listen, and listening creates all these amazing creative potentials. You can listen and hear a problem that you've never heard before. You can listen and hear the subtext of what somebody's saying. Brett, we talk about that in the book. It's another tool about kind of subtext, but people don't always say what they mean. And I'm sure you know that. And because they don't always say what they mean, what are they really trying to say? And what can I learn as a business owner, even as someone in my career? What can I learn by listening to the subtext and really being there in the moment and understanding what's going on, that can benefit my career or my business in some way.
So the book's coming out. It's actually out now. Where can they get it now if people want to buy that?
So it's in pre-sale now. It releases on August 2nd. We're really hoping that we can make a bestseller list. We're trying to get, I think, the Wall Street Journal bestseller list right now. You can log in. It's on Amazon if you like to buy books on Amazon, or Barnes & Noble. You buy it now, and then they'll ship it to you on August 4th. So on the 4th of August, it releases, but you can buy it now. And the way that they do bestseller lists, believe it or not, is that they do it before the book comes out. So we're really, really trying to get some pre-sale numbers up. And if you're at all interested, gosh, I would appreciate it. It's been one of those, 7-year roads. I'm not a big company. I don't have, tens of thousands of employees all over the world. We're just a little small but mighty outfit going out there, trying to spread creativity to businesses and people in their careers. And if any of this sounds interesting to you, you really kind of want to get up in the morning and start, attacking problems from a different sort of a creative mindset, kind of like what you're talking about from the gut. I think this book is an important one to get.
And I appreciate you being on the show, and I look forward to learning more from you, because this is up my alley. I'm a junkie when it comes to this stuff.
Oh, cool, Brett. Yeah, I love it, man. And I appreciate you guys having me. This has been really fun.
Well, we look forward to interviewing you again. And again, the name of the book is The Creator Mindset. The
Creator Mindset. Yes, sir.
Okay. You take care of yourself, okay?
All right, sir. Love to be on again. Just let me know.
Okay. You take care of yourself.
You too. Bye, sir.
And I'd like to thank my sponsors, of course, Attorney King, for everything he does. And I would like to also thank Indian Motorcycle of San Diego and Cosmopolitan Hotel and Restaurant. Everybody have a great day, and God bless.